Happy New Year. It is 2026, and I am starting out the year streaming with my mom. Some of you all will know that when I started my channel, we had a podcast for a while, and the podcast kind of fell off. But every now and then, I bring my mom on so that we can talk about a topic. Today's topic is not directly related to a court case, but we're talking about identity development. And in a lot of the work I do clinically, and within a lot of the cases that we talk about, personality or identity comes up a lot. And so I'm a licensed psychologist, and I am going to go on ahead and let my mom introduce herself.
Hey, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here. And I love hanging out with my baby, my doctor baby. So who I am is I'm Johnny Lloyd, but I'm known as the Mindset Maven. And the reason for that is I know for a fact that mindset matters. The way you enter in, the way you do things, all of that matters. And because of that, I have tapped into this element of identity. And that's what I'm looking forward to us having a conversation about. Now, my background, just a little bit about me, is I have over 47 years of financial background, working with hundreds or billions of dollars, as well as leadership in the field of financial, as well as nonprofit and profits. And I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Nice. And so my mom is trained. She's done John Maxwell training. She is a trainer with tell me the organization again.
It's Napoleon Hill Foundation, as well as the Neural Change Institute, as a neural change master practitioner.
Yes. And so she was the perfect guest to have to talk about healthy versus unhealthy identity development. And I wanted to talk about both because a person might find themselves somewhere on a spectrum. And I also want, as we're talking, we might also talk about somebody might have a pretty strong self-identity, and then something can happen that rocks their world, that rocks their life, where then they're saying, who am I? Like what's going on? And so I do want to talk about how life can kind of impact identity development and just some general tips of things people can do to kind of get back on track.
One of the things, and Patrice talked about it a little bit, and she talked about the fact, and I love watching her with court cases and all of that. However, sometimes when something dramatic happens to somebody, because they have built their identity in this other situation or this other person's life, they sometimes snap. Patrice has a legal term for that, a different term, but they snap because they actually built their identity on external forces instead of internally how their operating system works for them.
And I think it's really important. And it's hard to do because I think we are wired to get information from our environment that tells us if we're doing a good job or not. So I think we are wired for community. We're wired to care what other people think. I know growing up, I cared too much, and I could be a bit of a chameleon where I could change to fit any environment. And that was a good thing growing up. My mom, we moved about every 5 years. And so that was a good thing. But the bad side of it is, who are you in the midst of these changes? And so as an adult, I had to find my core self. Who am I? And then we all have little parts of our personality where sometimes, okay, this might be who I am, but is it healthy? So I am naturally a sarcastic person. I am naturally a little passive aggressive, but not like in therapy, but like with friends and family.
Now, where did she get that from, y'all?
Oh, and if you've ever met my family, you will know, oh my gosh, we can be super condescending, but then an outsider, and really it was my husband that came in and was like, and it wasn't with my family, it was with another situation. He was like, this is coming off mean. And so like I was used to it. I was used to teasing people. I was used to doing all those things. And then an outsider came in and gave feedback and was like, this is how it's coming off. And that wasn't who I wanted to be. And so I made changes and shifts to be more consistent with who I wanted to be.
Right. And I love that, because the thing is that who we show up as externally does not mean that's who we are internally.
Mhm.
So a lot of times
Mhm.
people show up as bold, brave, and brilliant, right? And they're all loud or whatever. But when they go home, they say, "Oh my gosh, this happened," and they're just their internal system. They're fighting against those two things. And Patrice is holding her hands because she has something to
Well,
say.
because I think sometimes people can have a mask, and I think we all have to mask in some ways and in some situations. So when I go into court, I put on my Dr. Barry court mask, like, because I'm not going to be my like how I would show up with my friends. And so I think all people can mask to some extent. People that are on the autism spectrum and that are have ADHD or neurodivergent, or people even with like depression or anxiety, sometimes they will mask to hide what's really going on. But I do think it's important that there's a safe place where people can be their authentic self, because it can be really troubling when you feel like the mask is loved but the authentic self is not.
And this is the key. So I want to step into it a little bit deeper. One is, Dr. Berry just talked about the fact that mask, right? So part of it is there's facets of me. I'm a mom, I'm a Gigi, those are facets of me. All of those are very real, very authentic. I'm fun, all of that, very real, very authentic. However, when we put on, when I go professionally, there's a person that shows up that's very different than this. When I retired, because we're talking about identity, right?
Yeah.
There are so many people that their identity is linked to what they do, not who they are. And that's a huge difference. The difference is, as soon as you shift from what you do, you no longer know who you are. When I go in and what Dr. Berry goes in and she's, how she shows up for court, it's still Dr. Berry, right? And so I love it. And I even love the way she's on here, and I'll follow her, y'all. I don't always chat anything, but I follow her because I look at the fact that she takes things that are happening that could be construed as just
horrific.
I don't even know.
Bad stuff.
Yeah, just bad. And she takes it and I'm not going to say she makes sense of it, but what she does is she forms it in a way by using her brilliance, her all of that to show it and say, hey, what about this? This is a concern. And then she tells us, including me, these are some of the things you can look for if these issues are coming up. So I think that's where we get a chance to bring in who we are authentically to any situation.
So,
go ahead.
How was it for you transitioning? So, like because the transition of as a mom, and you raised me, so it was the two of us in the house growing up and everything. When I went away to college, I'm sure that was because you're still Patrice's mom, but you don't have to like mother anymore. So that's a big transition. Transitioning from like children in the home to adult children, even like the infancy toddler stage, early, like, so with each stage of parenthood, there are these adjustments that I think you make, because the parent has to be okay with the child becoming their authentic self and supporting that. And because a part of that, because they might do and say things that like, wait a minute, I wouldn't do that. Like, wait a minute, I didn't. Okay,
didn't some of that happen? There are some things that happen. This is what I'll say, and thank y'all for all the wonderful comments. This is what I'll say is that in every phase of parenting or adulthood or living, there are facets and there's shifts and there's tweaks that happen. and I'm going to use COVID as an example. There are things we got used to during COVID, before COVID, all of that, and we had to shift and make adjustments. So the shift and adjustment, Patrice, going back to her question, is how did I? Look, some of the stuff was in private. How did I? Some of it was in private. I was
that was hard. That was hard because I don't think people always share that when things are hard, because sometimes they think, am I doing it wrong? Or like there can be a lot of, I work with a lot of people that struggle with mom guilt or with guilt of like, I can't always be there. I can't always do these things. They can sometimes struggle with, my kid is upset about something. So that's where I wanted to talk about that.
That's a good place. Okay, so let's talk about raising a child that you encourage to be her own self and say her own, say what she meant, and where her voice mattered. Let's do it like that, where her voice mattered. So then as she matured, and even now, her voice still matters, right? So sometimes I don't always look at it like, I said, no, she didn't say
that. one of my favorite examples, and I think examples stick with people.
They do.
I will never forget. So my mom is an amazing cleaner. And when she says clean the kitchen, she meant do all the things. She didn't mean just wash the dishes. Or if she said wash the dishes, she meant clean the kitchen. And my mom worked really hard. And in my later middle school, high school years, I was a latchkey kid. So I would come home, unlock the door. I would be home by myself for a period of time. And there were some things I was supposed to do. But the minute, no matter what I did, and I gave her this feedback. So I gave my mom some feedback, and I was not a very great cleaner. I like piles of things. I like to leave a trail of all the things that I've done.
Pause right there. A trail, y'all. For real, a trail. Okay, so I'm going to back up so we can go forward. When Patrice was younger, there was one, I used to fight climbing over her trails.
Oh yeah, in my room
to give her a kiss in the morning because so I would. And then one day I said I tripped. Something happened. It was just I don't know. And this is why I said she got up and she was really upset. And she said,
oh, you didn't kiss me. You
didn't kiss me. And I said, and this is a training moment because you find out, okay, the kissing isn't very important to her. Me living is very important to me. Right? So I said, if I can't make it to your bed, you don't get a kiss. And guess what? Now, but check this out, because I'm dealing with someone who's extremely intelligent, who's her own person, right? These are for your children, for your spouse, for your relationship, all that. She made a path.
I didn't clean up
everything. I thought it was, was she gonna clean the room? Not so.
You said the problem was you didn't have a path.
She's a solution person. So she said, no problem. You want a path? I got you. So she made a path. So when our children or our significant other does that and they make an inroads to give you what you say is the outcome you desire and they desire, then we have to be careful about you didn't pick up, talking about what they didn't do. Now she's going to go back to the story that talks about what she didn't, how we ran into this.
So my mom was the type of parent, when she came home from work, she needed to decompress. Ooh, and if she came home and went straight to her room, I knew like she's had a tough day, and she never took it out on me or anything. But if I approached her with foolishness before she made it to decompress, that was not going to be a good situation. It wasn't going to work out well for me. And so, but when she would come home, she would say, I'd be sitting on the couch watching TV, as she would say, "What are you doing?" And I was not raised by a gentle parent. So I did not have the ability to say, what does it look like? But that's in my head. In my head, I'm like, what would you like from what do I need to be doing? So I don't know that I always responded to it because it was normally, what are you doing? Like, look at all this mess. You didn't do this and you didn't do this. Clean the da da da. But I figured out that if I like tried to clean up after myself, she was gonna come home and find a problem. And so one day, I don't know why, but one day we were just talking because I think she was like, Patrice, why? Why are you doing this? And I was like, do you want to know? And she was like, yeah, I really want to know. I was like, okay, listen as a friend. Because that was once I became a teenager, we had this rule where she could listen as a friend and then respond as a mom. But I need you to listen first. And so I was like, when you come home, you need to find something wrong. I've done the math. She didn't know she was raising a psychologist. I'm over here doing research. And it's like, wait a minute. If I wash my dishes, I didn't clean out the microwave. If I clean out the microwave, I didn't clean off the stove. I am leaving trails. So like she has legit concerns, but like I was trying. And so I was like, I told her, I was like, when you tell me all the things I don't do, I have no motivation to do anything. And I have to do less. So if I enjoy my time while you're at work and there's this huge mess, all I have to do is clean up the mess. But if I clean up the mess, then you're going to come home and now I'm sweeping the kitchen. I'm doing all these other things. And I tried and I still didn't get a good job for, oh, you tried. Oh, I see you tried to clean up after yourself.
And the wonderful thing about that is knowing our children. Now, I want to tap into something you said because I don't want people to think, we hung around as friends.
Yeah.
So, but our relationship was she could tell me something because this is what I want it to be. I always want to be a safe place. Mm-hmm. Even now, I am. A safe place where you can say what you need to say respectfully, but say what you need to say. And then I get a chance to my answer. Yeah. I can answer back as, okay, well, that's cute. That's friend. Or I get a chance to answer and say, well, and then typically 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times probably out of 10, I would say, however, as your mother, and that way there's no confusion in the relationship. A lot of people now are trying to be their child's friend as if we're just friends, but they don't delineate the role. Remember, we were talking about masks. And I'm not saying it's good, better, and different. What I'm saying is for me and her, because she is, y'all think I needed a degree to deal with somebody. I didn't know I was raising a psychologist. And that's the other part. We don't know the identity of our children. We try to put an identity on them, but give them the freedom to really choose all the way till they choose.
And the thing that I appreciated, because I see that like kids don't need adult friends, and that's where my mom was someone I could talk to. And if I had a question about something, if I heard something and I wasn't sure what it was, or if I had questions about something, I could always go to her and ask. And she also gave me liberty she didn't judge me based on who I was around. Because now if I was around people and all of a sudden my behaviors changed, my grades dropped, that was different. But she didn't judge me based on who I was around. And I think it's really important that parents give their kids some space to be themselves, but with certain boundaries, with certain expectations. So we talked about my messy room. Now, if I wanted to go somewhere and if I wanted money, I knew the room needs. So if she came home and my room was clean, she wouldn't say it, but I'm sure in the back of her mind, she was like, what does she want? She cleaned her room on her own. Oh, it's getting close to Friday. She probably wants to go to the movies or something. Like, there's something going on. Or if I asked, I was like, hey, there's, so we lived close to an Air Force base, and the teen center would sometimes have like little parties or something. So it's like, hey, you want to go to that teen center party, you just got to clean your room first. And that's just like a reasonable expectation, because what happened was she gave up on me having a clean room all the time. So instead we focused on me trying to pick up after myself around the house. And we're laughing because my poor husband still will be like, Patrice, why are there chips on the floor? Like there's just this random chip on the floor. I had chips for lunch. I don't know what to tell you.
And that's the beauty of talking about identity and freedom, however, respect, and not being the one. I never said that or tried, I don't think, to redesign her, to act like I was the designer, I was the creator. So I was going to recreate her into what I wanted her to be. Now, there are some times when she shifted, she did something. You have to watch Patrice's movement, because at all of those movements and high pitches and all that, all of those things matter. So anyway, but however, part of it is a learning thing. So you said something earlier about parents feeling like maybe I wasn't a good parent, questioning that. There have been times in my life where I've questioned that. Mm-hmm. However, the benefit, a long time ago, people said, well, how do I feel about you saying things that happen or whatever? And this is my answer. And this, when you've done as a parent the best you know how to do in the moment and the situation that you're in, that's it. I mean, I was climbing corporate ladders and being super, all of that, because I was doing what I thought and that was important to us. I found out later that some of those things I could have gave up on and had a lot of more time and less gray hair. Had I did it differently.
I think that wasn't who you were, like, or was that, to your core, was that important to you?
Well, that's excellent. And that goes back to the identity piece. The piece that I found was, because I had been told, because of situations I had been through, who I was not. Okay. And I did not feel like I was enough. And when I walked in the room, I'm smaller now than I was back then. I'm like 150 pounds less now than I was then in some cases. So I had this extremely intelligent woman that's walking. My name is Johnny, y'all. That's my real name. So sometimes people expected a male, and then they got a female who was extremely intelligent and held her own. Yeah. So every step I made, every organization I came into, it was my goal to be on top.
Yeah.
But I think there was something driving it inside of me, and I am productive. I mean, what am I looking for? I'm very conscious of whether it be the resources, whatever, but I'm more conscious of being the best I can be in every situation. I want to be at the top of my game. Always show up that way.
I feel like you used to struggle with rest.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you talk about how you were able to shift? Because I think you were raised and I was raised with, you are what you do. And that doing was how you get your identity. And I'm trying to raise my son with a balance that, like, being is also important. Now, because he's not going to be 30 years old living in my house not doing anything. like that's I still love
a clarity check, y'all.
I still love you, but but I do think the idea of being was a shift for you.
Actually being is a shift for me even now. And so I went from doing at higher level, 10x doing, to what the world happened, because a lot of things shifted when I came from my full-time job. and got put in a situation where I loved it.
Are you talking about watching my son, or which part?
Yeah, that part. Watching my grandson. I said, watch.
What?
We don't need to. Yeah, but wait. We got put in a situation. I know there's her story, then there's my story, and then somewhere in between that, y'all,
I'm
is
shine my golden halo.
Okay, but let me finish up. Okay, so now it's just be. Identity for me is, and I'm gonna use this metaphor. The metaphor is whether I can use it as an operating system. So you talked about external versus internal. My internal operating system is being rewired.
Okay.
Is being reworked. So it's enough now for me to be. I don't need to prove that I can do.
And I want to say that is uncomfortable, that shift, because I think a lot of times when something is uncomfortable, we think there's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
And so the idea of being versus having to do. So I want to talk about our Christmas holiday, because this was one of the most relaxing holidays we've probably ever had. I've shared on my stream that we were down with family in Texas. We have a family member that, because of medical, wasn't able to travel. So whoever was able to make it, we rented a house, and it was the most just relaxing, because normally with a family vacation like that, people would have been up cooking every morning. We would have cooked a meal at least 2-3 times, because we were there for 4 nights. I want to say 3-4 nights.
Five,
maybe 5. Okay. But we were there, but we only cooked one time. Only cooked one time, and it was more than enough food to last, where people were taking food at the end. There was still more left over, and we only went to the store once, because I don't think that's ever happened. We only went to the store one time.
ever.
What we got, we got. If you need something else, like.
Yeah. And it was so funny because my brother, one of my brothers said, I thought, okay, we're not going to talk about the list. We're not going to talk about any of that. So he said, you didn't buy my da-da-da. And I said, you're welcome to go get it. So in fact, so it was on the list, and I did not get it. But there's a story that go with everybody, their grandparents, their great grandparents, 5 generations was in these stores in anyway,
Texas, HEB. Your carts are too big. your carts are way too big for your aisles, and you can't just stop in the middle of the aisle and just like not
be on your phone and making no decision, or leave your cart in the aisle and you're 3 aisles away. None of that works. I mean, it's not, it couldn't, you know what I mean? I'm just saying that's not the best plan.
And we had the best example of peace in the store, because there was a man in the store that we met probably 5 minutes walking into the store, and this man got stuck behind us so many times, and he was just like, I told my wife I wasn't going off today, but he kept his peace. He was just like, because I'm apologizing, because there were times I was in the way, but because there were 2 carts that were both like, there's a cart going this way, there's a cart coming this way, and nobody can move.
So. Now let's talk about this. Okay, so you have 2 people. The aisle ain't but so big. And so somebody in the room on the other side of the screen reminded me that, could you stay on your side? Could you stay on your side? You just stay on your side, right? But I'm saying they ain't on their side. Why am I saying?
So that's identity for me. Even if other people are all over the place and not following the rules, like unless we're on the highway, I do.
So there's identity, and then there's order, structure, process, and systems, right? So, oh yeah, that's deep. You know how I do. So anyway, so part of it is I love order. I really don't do well. I don't like chaos. Yeah. So we're going back to I want to go back to that.
Yeah.
Part of what we did, and I don't want y'all to say, well, they did everything. I'm telling you, one of my sisters in love, she brought every dessert there must be known to man.
I
so waited till cooking was done in advance because of where we were. Yeah. A lot of people brought the food. my brother-in-law, like a brother. Okay, he brought the.
Brisket,
I'm just gonna make y'all
curry,
mouth water.
curry,
Curry goat in the brisket in the
fried
fried
turkey.
turkey. He brought all of that, and my sister did the dressing and all of these special things. Right, all of that came to the house. I did the macaroni and cheese and the green and all of that. But what I learned in it
Hmm.
is sometimes you can adjust or tweak what you're doing. It can not spend as much time
Hmm.
and still have an excellent product. And I'm not being paid for Glory Greens, but they should sponsor me. But anyway, but Glory Greens ain't no joke. Okay. I never used them because I thought that's cheating. I make greens from scratch.
You,
So
you you still seasoned up
I
your
still
you
did
put
my
the
thing. I
water.
did the thing to them.
You still
However, it didn't take me 5 hours to make greens. So what I'm saying sometimes is, even though we've been brought up a certain way, don't when time or you being with your
mm,
family or you spending time by yourself, whatever you're doing, don't always go back to what you used to do.
mm.
Consider what you can do in the moment or right now at this season in time, because they didn't have Glory Greens 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, whatever. I love Glory Greens. I bought girl, best thing ever. So it upped my game and looked at it. Now my macaroni and cheese has to be from scratch, but that's a whole
It was
different.
and it was amazing. And
Um,
she made her grandson, my son, she made him his own special mac and cheese just in case, and he
no,
loved
that wasn't just in case, y'all. That was because we
it.
know what he likes, and that's the other thing. When it comes to your family, whether it be your spouse, your one significant other, whatever, or your children, allow them to be them, even in an environment like that. So I know what he likes. We've had the conversation. And so my thing was, I'm going to make his own pot, his own package. And it does a couple things for us as people. When somebody does something special for you as a person, yeah, it does that. It makes your heart like, dang, they did this especially for me, right? So I did it for him. Everybody respected that. And then, because there was so much of the other. So anyway, but in addition to that, it reminds your children how special they are. Then while we were sitting at the table, my sister said something that reminded me of what my mother said about her years ago. I mean, like years, So she said, my mother made cream. My mother can throw down, right? So she made homemade. When my sister had cornbread and greens, she would take her fingers and she would, mush them together and she would eat with her hands. And so my mother would announce it. She said, "Don't say nothing about my baby. My baby can eat any way she wants to." So this is what my sister said, reminded us all of that, because he was like in the plate. He was in the plate.
My son, yeah.
He was in the plate and all happy. And so let him eat the way he eats, right? So give ourselves room
Yeah.
to be authentically who we are. I'm not saying go and eat, horribly, or throw food. I'm not saying that. I'm saying give ourselves the space to be authentic and to enjoy where we are and who we are in the moment that we are. So that's it. I'm spending more time being present
Mhm.
than considering all the presence you
Mhm.
can provide. That human present is really huge, really huge. Go ahead.
I wanted to move into letting go of what other people think. And so I really work a lot with people about their own voice and the power of what they want. Because if so during our Christmas dinner, because we had planned to start maybe around 12. Well, it's almost 1:30, I think, or it's about, let's say 1:15, 1:30. My child has not eaten yet.
And he's on a time clock, y'all. And he can tell time.
He can tell, and he was doing okay. Like he wasn't, but as a mom, I knew my baby needs to eat. And if somebody had been upset with that, if somebody had, it was that was going to be their problem, because I feel like we make other people's opinions our opinions. Now, I would have heard it if somebody thought it was disrespectful, or if somebody thought it was rude, or if somebody thought, I don't know, if somebody had their own thoughts about how that was, I would have heard it. But what I think and what I know is true, and he's my responsibility as my son, my husband's son, that it was on me to make sure that my child was taken care of. And I wanted to give that example because there are so many other ones of people, if they decide to homeschool and their family isn't okay with it, or if they decide to do public school and people have opinions about that, or if they decide to um, start their own business and people have their thoughts and opinions about that. And that's where sometimes, if you're making a new move, because we're going into a new year, sometimes you don't tell everybody everything. So when I started my YouTube channel, I didn't share that with everybody. And I'm sure there were some people when I started my channel. So I started my channel, wow, 6 years ago. It was wow, six years ago. And the hardest thing to do is start. Now, when I started my channel, I didn't quit anything. Like, I didn't buy a special camera. I didn't like, I played around with what I had. That's why the quality on some of those initial videos that's a little interesting. But to get started, you use what you have, you do what you can. When I started my private practice, I didn't tell everybody, and I didn't quit my job. I was in a position where I was given the ability to start my practice while still working in a different practice. And our understanding was, as I received approval for insurance companies, that I would switch people over to my private practice with the goal of eventually being 100% on my own practice. And that process took almost a year. It took about 6 to 8 it took, I think, by the end of 2020, I think I had completely closed things out, and I was completely done. I had transitioned all of my clients over to my private practice. But and I say that because if I had mentioned to someone whose opinion mattered, and they were like, "Well, are you sure?" Or if I don't know. But yeah, so do you have some thoughts about that as we're talking?
Yeah, I love that. And I love what Ed Carly said.
Yeah.
I'm gonna back right into that. What I have found is that when I was really super critical,
Okay.
that what happened is the same mirror was on me. So that's a mindset, right? So when I started looking at it and saying it's about what I want and not what everybody else wants, it's not about what they think, then I could free myself from doing that to them. Like, okay, well, whatever you're going to do, as long as it didn't harm me. So what I'm learning, and it's a process, y'all. I like the process Dr. Berry just mentioned. It's a process. Remember that life is, for me, is start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. That's what she just talked about. The process I teach, right? One of them is literally start where you are. Now, I'm going to step into that for just a second. I got training on what to do while she started off. And I'm not going to tell you how many followers I had versus the followers she had. But this is the other side. The side is, once you start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can, and you have identified what you really want, then you set aside and say, what am I willing to exchange for it?
Yeah.
And when I say that, I'm not talking about, have all the glam, because people will tell you need to buy all this stuff to have it. No, you just need to start, right? And give yourself grace, not pick on, not be like, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Go in and say, okay, I did the best I could today. So her channel because she was consistent, because she was persistent. So when you're looking at who you are and the changes we're going to make, this is the beginning of the year, the shifts and stuff we're going to make, or you decided to make during the beginning of the year, what you want to drive through, then give yourself grace. And at the same time, give yourself discipline.
I like that.
Yeah, that's one that clear your throat. Discipline is a word that clears your throat, because it's self-discipline, it's self-awareness, that kind of thing. So what I found in answering some other questions that she brought is that when I got out of the thing of it was about other people's opinion regarding me,
yeah,
and I became more comfortable with who I am. And trust me, I had to identify who that was, who that is, right? Who is that, right? I had to identify who that is. And then I went into layers, because yeah, this was layer one of who I am. But then as I continued to dig, I said, wait a minute. And I'm gonna give you a really prime example. I was talking to my girlfriend this morning. And so what I was saying to her, we were having this conversation, and a beautiful conversation. And I used to do this when somebody would say, well, hey, where do you want to go eat? And I'll say, anywhere, it doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter. So I am now saying, for an example, I said, hey, wherever I have a taste for salmon, so as long as they have salmon, I'm good. So that gives them the same flexibility. However, we're probably not going to Mexican, which I really don't want to go to. But if I say it doesn't matter and we go to Mexican, then don't be upset with myself, But I used to get upset with myself, like, you don't like Mexican, you know what Mexican does to you.
And
so that is the key.
So I because I saw this, and this was probably what the video was about. It was about not being nice, but being kind. And sometimes I think people hold back everything. Like, they don't ever speak up for themselves because they were raised to be nice. So I don't raise my son to be nice. I raise him to be kind, because that's how you treat people. That's how you treat yourself. It's about respecting yourself and others. Now there are lots of different, so somebody else might define nice differently, and they don't define it as, going above and beyond. You have to play with everybody. Even if somebody's mean to you, you still have to be their friend. No. if so-and-so's mean to you, y'all don't have to be friends, but like, you still do need, like you can't be mean to them. Like, you have to be kind. And so shifting that of like, I get to have a say. It's okay to have a say, and it's not rude. So I had a tendency to make myself small, to make myself fit, because I had this impression that I was too much, that because of my personality, I have a strong personality.
I wonder where she got that from.
And with that, and I can be particular about not about everything, but I can be particular about some things. So if it's a friend that wants to travel, I'm gonna have some questions, because there's some things I don't do. Some, like, I like to travel at a certain standard. Not that, and hey, like, everybody, like, but yeah, so I like to have options. And then I like that we can respect each other in the midst of that. I don't know if she'll see this, but one of my good friends, super duper good friend, I love her. She had a birthday bash, and she rented, and so she had this beautiful, it was a multi-room hotel room. It was almost like it was like a townhouse almost, but it was not a hotel. It was, and they had all these rooms, and everybody could go and stay at that room. But these were her friends, and I was like, I want my own room. I want.
That's a good example.
As I am an extrovert, but I need to sleep. I need to retreat into myself. Like, there are times that I need to take care of me. And I wanted to have choices and options. And I don't know, because also sometimes we try because my thing, so if my friend told me, hey, it really hurts my feelings, like if you're not going to stay with us, don't come. I'm not friends with anybody that would say that.
Either. Yeah.
I'm not, but like thankfully we were respectful of one another, where it's like, okay, you got your own, because I didn't say I want you to pay for my room. Like I paid for my own room, because I need my own space. Yes, I love being around people, but when I'm around new people, it can be even more exhausting, because like, so like when I get together with my friends that we've known each other for a while, we can sit in silence. We can, like, I already know you, you know me, and I kind of know what I'm getting and everything. And so it's a whole thing.
And it's interesting because I have thought I was an extrovert because of the life and all of that I have. However, I am I show up as an extrovert. However, I get my energy and my refilling me as an introvert. So I need my own space. I need that. So I have a neighbor that, I'm crazy about my neighbor. She wants to go traveling. And I said, because he don't want to travel. And so I said, I want my own room. This is what she said. It costs more money. And that's what I said. And wait a minute. She said, well, we can room together. No, we can't. I said, if you need a room with somebody, you need to bring somebody else. I said, I need my own room. I said, I'm going to get, no, I didn't say need. I said, I'm going to get my own room. If we do this, I'm going to get because then it's a boundary that I have established, right? So that's part of me knowing myself better, is I get a chance to establish to maintain the boundaries I know support who I am.
Yes.
Because I want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, I don't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and have to leave the room and go downstairs to the hotel.
And feel like, because I am a very respectful person of other people. And so like, I wouldn't want to have to tiptoe around other people, or like, it's just, I'm special like that. I admit that. And the people that know and love me know that too. If y'all do have questions, because we're starting to get to the last 15 minutes. If y'all have questions, please let us know. I did want to talk about letting go of judgment, because somebody was talking about criticism, and in dialectical behavior therapy, there is a task. There's something called non-judgment. And it's not about not having an opinion. It's about how I frame something, because how I look at something affects how I see it. And so the situation can be it's trying to rewrite our negative judgments in a form that's non-judgmental, that I can still express what happened, how I felt, what I thought, but I'm using words that focus on the facts and that take some of the perception out of it. So an example, I hate this baby crying on the plane. Not everyone has to be a parent, which is very good. And so a mindful version would be, I hear a baby crying loudly in the seat behind me. I feel angry about this situation. I'm irritated and angry. Like, but instead of judging the parents who are probably doing the best they can. Oh, that happened on our flight recently. That coughing baby. There was a baby in front of us. I'm so glad neither one of us got sick, because I just knew we were getting the flu. I
was thinking, we both looked at each other and see, this is the deal with me and her together. We look.
We can communicate without having to communicate.
And I thought, keep her there. Don't let her, I was just thinking of all this stuff. However, at the same time, I just said, okay, you're going to be fine. I had to tell myself that, because sometimes you can pick up the mindset, like, people's like, they're going to be sick or whatever. So, but it's hard to travel with children. It's hard, really, to be honest with you. As adults, it has gotten more interesting to travel, because sometimes people are just not respectful. They're just not.
And to me, so neither one of us got sick. Like that child likely had some type of congestion or but so babies cough and sneeze a lot, and doesn't necessarily mean But I was praying, oh, I pray that baby doesn't have a fever. Like I hope they're not contagious. I hope we don't get sick. And thankfully, we didn't get sick. Everything was fine. Everything was fine. But in that moment, um there were some thoughts going, and I try to focus on the facts and not judge the person, because if I judge the person, and that includes myself. So I used to feel like I was lazy. I might have even called myself lazy at times. Lazy has a judgment with it. And
Mhm.
there are times, so I reframe it to sometimes I'm not motivated, or sometimes it takes different things to motivate me. I've had laundry. So we got back on Saturday. And so I washed all the clothes from the trip, and I probably had some clothes on my laundry ottoman before I left. my
I
but
ain't mad. That's all you.
what do you mean? But I didn't put them away. So like,
But I haven't watched them.
see, you have enough clothes. Where
Yeah, I have 3 closets. We're not gonna talk about closets. We're not gonna talk about any of that. Go ahead.
so for for Langston, I needed
That's
to
right.
wash so that he could have his things.
But that's
Um,
a good example, if I could just interject.
mm,
Sometimes we look at what someone else is doing
oh yeah,
and we say, well, I didn't do that, or I did, or whatever. The fun, like we'll go back and forth and have fun with it, but
yeah,
there's no judgment involved in it, right? Because typically I could have done anything. However, there's some things that came up. However, this is what I'll tell you. When
mm,
you're looking at your identity and you're looking at who you are, and sometimes there's extra things nobody else knows about. So, see, I may not love what a person does, but I can love the person. So that's what I'm doing for me. I may not agree with everything I do sometimes, but I love me. And so when I can course correct whatever that is or reshift something, I do it. But sometimes we're in a situation where it's just hard to do that. So give ourselves grace and give other people grace in life. That doesn't mean excuses. There's a difference in grace and allowing people to step across your boundary or step over you or step on you. That's different. So that's what I would like to interject. Thank you.
and so something that I've done, I used to have trouble, not very much, because I've been able to sleep when things are a mess, but I've always been able to do that. Hence the room that had to have the path to get to the bed. But I prioritize being with my family. So today, me and my son, I told him, hey, if you help me with the laundry, because he's 8 years old, if you help me with the laundry, I'll give you the iPad at 2 instead of 2:30. And he was like, yeah, deal. And that motivated me, like, hey, I don't feel like I'm gonna spend the next hour, doing, like, because together we got it done in probably 30 minutes, if that. And
And
so yeah,
you gamified something that he probably was a no, no,
no,
thank you. I don't want to do that.
right.
But oh, it's a game. I get to do what I want to do. If I help you with this, I'm good. Yeah.
Sure. And so I definitely appreciate that. I do think for anybody that struggles with finding who they are, I
Mhm.
think there are some things you can do for self-discovery. And there are many people that things in life have impacted how they feel about themselves and who they are. And what I'll say about that is in therapy. So I will sometimes have a person that really struggles with low self-esteem. And one of the things we do is we try to go back. When did you learn to think this way about yourself? And sometimes it goes back to childhood, like goes back really, really far. And we try, and is there anybody else in your life that sees yourself different? Because sometimes seeing ourselves through the eyes of the people that love and care about us and accept us, that's often a more valid picture. But for some people, they really do have trouble if they grew up in a very difficult, a very toxic family. They might not have that many people that really do hold them with this like unconditional, where it wasn't based on what I did or where I was fully accepted for who I was. What were your thoughts? I could tell.
No, no, no. I was reading some at the top. I love what you're saying. Um, the boundary in my head, that's what I comes up, the boundary awareness, right? The other thing is, like you said, is learning who you are and the self-discovery and all of those pieces. I
Mhm,
think are just so powerful.
mhm,
Um, the other thing is, and I used to say it like this, sometimes we have to, when we're believing for something better, we can pick up somebody else's belief system for us until we can raise up our belief system to that level.
mhm.
So that's what you were saying. Well, looking at somebody else and the way they look at you, and then believing what and hearing what they're saying and pull it up. I just thought I was looking up thinking that is so brilliant. I
Right.
have to remember you, my child. So anyway, but that's what I say because there are so many ways to do it. And then the other thing I would like to add to it
Mm,
is is ask yourself is what you're thinking when you're really difficult with yourself. I know it's a thought that you have. However, is that thought truth? Is
yeah.
it true? What you're thinking
And
right now in this
and
moment.
some people need to apply it to somebody else and not themselves to
Got it. Got
determine,
it.
because
Okay.
some people hold themselves to an unrealistic standard, or
Got
they hold other people to an unrealistic standard. Where, so when I'm working with somebody who has a partner or a child, and they're wanting their partner to read their mind, like, if you loved
Mm.
me, you would know what I need. And it's like, no, that's not, no, really, you have to communicate needs. Like, that is, now there will be some people that will just instinctively. So maybe if I'm a little snippy, my husband might be like, "You wanna order Five Guys?" Oh, speaks right to my heart. Yeah, sure. Like, you could tell I was hungry. My bad. But
That's
that doesn't always happen, because there was a great question, from Carly, of wondering if people who were criticized as children are more critical as adults, and I've seen it happen where people can be more critical of themselves and sometimes also more critical of others. Sometimes they're less so, but it just really depends on the person. The goal is often, um to have people have a healthier, because there's nothing wrong with feedback. Criticism is often going to who a person is. So the difference between criticism and feedback, criticism is, you're lazy, you never clean up your room. That's criticism. Feedback is, I've noticed your room is getting a little out of hand. You need to go clean it. Or, like, what can we do,
fine.
that would, you know, is it there too much in the room? But that would be feedback. Criticism gets at who a person is. It often gets to the core, and it's often a very that's why I talked about judgments, because you're often making assumptions. So when my struggle with keeping my room clean, it was really about, like, laundry. Because so the minute I cleaned my room, it would be dirty in, like, 5 minutes. I don't know, because, like, but I wasn't good about putting stuff back. I have a system now where I make my closet the, like, I have to have a place that's a doom pile. I need a doom pile somewhere, and I've made it my closet. And then I need to spread all my things. My things can have, but, like, I like my things to be a little kind of everywhere, and I'm thankful I married somebody that, like, he just pushes my stuff over to my side. I tell him the whole thing is mine, and it's just
That's our mindset. Everything is mine.
everything's mine. What do you mean my side?
The thing I would like to add to that is that
Mhm, sorry. Are you paused? Uh-oh. I might have lost her. Uh, we will see if she comes back. It looks like she is frozen for a moment. Um, it is really important to, uh, sometimes look at yourself from the person that you care, like, I've sometimes had people look at a situation from, like, what if it was your friend? What advice would you give your friend, especially if people are more critical of themselves? I think she had to come back. Let's see, let's see. Uh-oh. So we'll see. Let me know if you all have any other questions, because I'm still not seeing her video in the studio. Oy. All right. I'm just messaging her. I have her in the background. Oh, she's buffering still. No. You might have to check your connection, mama, because it doesn't look like you are connected. Oh, I'm being nosy. Dr. Barry, were you an astronomy geek before you met your husband? So my husband is an aerospace engineer. And so he loves all things space. And we went to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And that's where I got this shirt. My son loved the rides. So there are rides at the one in Florida. And my son just there was a playground and there were rides. Those were his favorite parts. I'm glad that this conversation was helpful. I know that my mom does not follow true crime, but she follows my channel. And so sometimes I have her on just so that we can chat. I wanted to see if she can exit the studio. Um, okay, so let me try to add her back to this because it still looks like you're buffering, mama. It still looks paused. Oh, let me go double. Yeah, it still looks like you're buffering. You might have to close it and open it back. I'm not sure. The DBT, so that is dialecticalbehaviortherapy.com. I will share the link here. Yes, I'm glad. So and the podcast episodes are on my channel. Let me see. We used to do this like once a week. So there are a bunch of old Legacy Moments podcasts where we would just have these conversations once a week on a whole bunch of different topics. So I think on my channel, I'm trying to see where it is. I think if you click on, let me go my channel. Let me share my screen. Doo, doo, doo. She really is awesome. I don't know if she's gonna figure out the technology and get back. Okay, good. All right, mama. So I don't think so, mama, do you have any final thoughts? Do you have any final thoughts? Thank you so much for joining me on this day. She has a channel. It's so if you type in Johnny Lloyd, and I'll make sure to put it in the um description as well. Ah, all right. Johnny Lloyd, Mindset Maven. She talks about business and things like that. Let me. Do, 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 do. I want to share my screen, but I want to share this tab. So we are live on her channel as well. And then on my channel, if you click on podcast and the Legacy Moments podcast, there are a ton. How many episodes are there? Good gosh, there are 55. And these ones are the old ones. No, wait a minute, toxic positivity. And I might have hidden some of them. There are probably more. There were probably more than 55 episodes. And so, yes, she is a speaker and she does a really great job. Yes, I love questions. So glad we were able to answer it. Thank you all again for joining us. I will be live on Saturday We'll do something on Saturday because today's Thursday. Yeah, let's get together again. I'll talk about maybe cases I'm looking forward to in 2026. Maybe talk about the Sarah Grace Patrick case because I will be live on Court TV Monday, January 5th at 9 p.m. I will share a link to that as long as everything goes the way it's supposed to. I was invited on there on Monday at 9 p.m. and I will make sure to share the link. Thank you all again. I hope you all have a great New Year's Day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.